Good morning, everyone. It's quite a week, I'm so proud of our members who are busy at work, especially our chairman, organizing their committees to get ready for our bill that we anticipate will become law as soon as possible. The American Rescue Plan put forth by President Biden as part of how we meet the needs of the American people. The pandemic and the economic crisis that go with it continues to be devastating to the American people. This legislation is necessary, but don't take my word for it. Yesterday, the chairman of the Federal Reserve stated that the real unemployment rate is 10%, matching the worst point in the Great Recession. In his speech, he said for recovery, fiscal policy is an essential tool for this situation. He referenced that monetary policy would not be enough. Chairman Powell played down the fears of inflation during the pandemic and noted that, in his words, inflation has been much lower and more stable over the past 3 decades than in earlier times, and that he did not expect it to accelerate in a sustained way coming out of the pandemic. As Chairman Powell said, given the number of people who have lost their jobs, the likelihood that some will struggle to find work in the pandemic economy, in the post-pandemic economy, achieving and sustaining maximum employment will require more than supportive monetary policy. It will require a society-wide commitment. Hence, the legislation that our members are working on this week. We hope to finish our markups in committee this week and then send it to the Budget Committee next week for them to work their will on it, then to the Rules Committee, and then to the floor, and we hope to have this all done by the end of February. Certainly on the President's desk in time to offset the March 14th deadline where some unemployment benefits will expire. I'm particularly interested in how women are affected by the pandemic, but also by this legislation. Over 2.3 million women have been forced to leave the workforce entirely, including 1 million moms. That's why this bill is so important, because it has a strong commitment to child care so that parents, moms and dads, are able to go to work. It has a strong commitment to getting our kids back to school, another path to the workforce for moms. Last month, January, nearly 80% of workers who left the workforce were women, and in December, it was 90% of those who had left the workforce were women. The women's labor force participation rate is now just about 57%, the lowest level in 33 years. For women of color, the situation is even worse. Again, that is about the livelihood of the American people, about the lives of the American people. I talked about 10% unemployment, as quoted by the chairman of the Fed, Chairman Powell. Another number that is just so sobering is 470,000 Americans have died of the coronavirus. 470,000. Again, this legislation that we're passing now so addresses the needs of the American people when it comes to the coronavirus. It's about the lives and the livelihood of the American people. We're proud, again, of our committee chairs who are moving ahead expeditiously with 9 committees working on marking up legislation for the American Rescue Plan this week. They're moving forward to crush the virus. The funding there for virus production, distribution, for testing, et cetera, for other funding in terms of access to health care. Again, the goal is to put vaccines in people's arms, children back in school, workers back in their jobs, and money in people's pockets. And the money in people's pockets, we're very proud that in the legislation, we in the House, the Education and Labor Committee marked up its bill on Tuesday until 4 a.m. Wednesday morning. Big part of money in people's pockets in the Education and Labor Committee, in addition to making our schools safe for our children to go back to school. In the bill, it gradually raises the minimum wage to $15 an hour, increases paychecks. In doing so, increases paychecks for 27 million workers and pulling nearly 1 million people out of poverty. Well over 50%, closer to 2/3 or 70% of people making the minimum wage are women, many of them women of color. Again, it secures the child tax credits, helping nearly 1 in 3 adults having trouble paying for household expenses and 12 million children from going hungry. So in the legislation, we have the child tax credit. This is quite remarkable, $3,000 for a child, and then they're 6 years and under, it is $3,600. This is pulling these children out of poverty. The bill also addresses those who are food insecure, rent insecure, and the rest. So it's a very important piece of legislation. It is what this country needs, and I salute not only the President and Vice President for their leadership in recognizing that in this important work, but also to do so in a way that is robust, meets the needs of the American people, but also meets the needs of the strength of our economy. We plan, as I said, to work on it this week, next week, and have it passed by the end of February, and so we can send it to the President's desk before the unemployment benefits expire. This week, as you know, we have seen, it's been such a sad time for us, but as we see what is being presented, we also see the extraordinary valor of the Capitol Police, who risked and gave their lives to save our Capitol, our democracy, our lives. They are martyrs for our democracy. Martyrs for our democracy, those who lost their lives. That is why I am putting forth a resolution introducing legislation to pay tribute to the Capitol Police and other law enforcement personnel who protected the Capitol by giving them a Congressional Gold Medal, the highest honor that Congress can bestow. The service of the Capitol Police Force that day brings honor to our democracy. Their accepting this reward brings luster to this medal. We must always remember their sacrifice and stay vigilant against what I've said before about what Abraham Lincoln said, the silent artillery of time. We will never forget. We were so moved by having the family give us the honor of honoring Brian Sicknick. Also, the Libin Good family and the Smith family, we share their grief, and we want to recognize the valor of that. And then also, of course, Officer Goodman for his valor. But these are demonstrations of much more bravery throughout the Capitol on that sad day. So we want to honor them in the best way that we possibly can, and we will continue to do so beyond a medal, but in our hearts. So again, we, as the Senate is dealing with its business at hand, I'm so proud of our just overwhelmingly proud of our managers led by Jamie Raskin, but at the same time, we're getting our work done to meet the needs of the American people, to crush the virus, to put our children back in school, money in people's pockets, again, people back to work. The lives and the livelihood of the American people are our responsibility. 470,000 people have died. We have to call a halt to that.
Hey guys, did you know we have a podcast called WJ Live?
The Western Journal's mission is to equip readers with the truth, and that's the same mission we have on WJ Live.
You'll hear from writers, editors, and special guests on the most important topics of the day.
You can watch us every day at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific on youtube.com/WJ Live.
While you're there, help us out by subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss any future episodes. See you there.